shade. Makeshift shade shop done. Last time was water pump. This is going to be easier. We are doing the alternator. Some of you probably don't have this stupid intake guard, so a lot of you won't have to remove it. If you do, it's a 15. Tried to avoid it, it's not going to happen. We're going to pull the hose. I'm just going to undo the clamp, actually undo these bolts. Pull this off, loosen the clamp, and rotate it up and over out of the way. 13 mil bolt to prevent the pressure of the coolant pushing the thermostat out. I put the bolt back in with a wrench over it. It's holding the thermostat in and gets it out of the way to access the alternator. You grab your 1/4-inch socket here. Oh no, I am going the wrong way, moron. Pull up. And it loosens the belt. And the belt is off. And I'll put a picture on here of how to put the belt back on. That is that pulley right here. You got to go underneath the AC line to loosen it. When there is some tension, there's a gap between this side. Top bolt, extra long. That's the bottom bolt. 15. And then you have this clip to undo. And then this is a 13 on the back side. And then a little bit of finagling and wiggling, and I squeezed it out through these two fucking hoses. If you go through AutoZone, that's the part number for the alternator, 15465, Duralast brand. And for a Continental belt, that's the part number for that as well. Let's see if we can finagle this guy back in here the way we got him out. Oh yeah, look at that, fell right into place. Not literally, but still. Keep the plugs out of the way. Get it turned around. And that, my friends, is how you get an SRT alternator back into place. Now I'm going to reconnect all the wires and such. Before you bolt anything down, make sure you get this guy that's back here. Hard to see with that tube in the way, but there it is. That's the guy you want to get. That onto there. And I believe it's a 12. I could be wrong. If your bolts are rusty, clean them off. Don't be lazy. Clean with a light layer of grease. I just tried to see if it would make it easier. Do not put in that bolt even to hang it, because you will not be able to access your nut back there. You just tip the alternator forward. Get it on there. Tight. And we can put it back. Then you can get that plug out of the way. Reach around and get her lined up. Oh, come on. There it is. There she is. Pick up on the back end a little bit just so you can screw that in by hand a little bit better. Takes tension off the bolt. I'll also include a picture diagram of the serpentine belt. That bolt is in, and then we put the bottom one on the bottom. Can you see? Not quite. Damn it. Also, that bolt is really close to that coolant line. You don't have to remove the coolant line. Just move it out of the way a bit and you'll be able to get it on there. It'll probably be easier for you to start it with a ratchet or a wrench at first and then move on to a ratchet as it gets closer. Now we just make sure that that plug goes on. And you're in. Now we can put the coolant hose back on. Oh no, we'll do the serpentine belt first. Alright, belt's back on. Super easy. Careful not to pinch your fingers on this pulley here. When you're pushing the belt back on here, you can get your fingers pinched. I didn't do it, but you can, and it hurts. Now we're gonna put the coolant tube back so that bitch stops slowly dripping. When you go to remove this, obviously, you're gonna wanna hold your hand here and use your other hand to remove the bolts so your thermostat doesn't move. Obviously, when you disconnect this, you're gonna get minor spillage. Just refill this to full, drive it around at temperature, get out, check it. It should suck some of this coolant out and you can just refill it from here. You don't gotta worry about popping your rad and refilling that. That's unnecessary. Also, if you're like, hey, dummy, why'd you take your battery out? Well, because my alternator went bad, I decided to have my battery tested too because of the way the alternators work in these. They can turn on and off for electricity, and I think mine was overworking itself, and that's why it burnt out. And I'm glad I took my battery in, because even though it was a 3-month-old Optima, it was bad, and I got a new one for free. So I'm putting it back in. I also had to add these extensions, because the factory Jeep location doesn't work, but they sell all this shit at the auto parts store. Bolted it together, put heat shrink around it. Now the battery will fit in here with the cables. Yeah, let's start this bitch. Well, seems to have more power than it did before. Here's hoping it starts. Oh yeah. Right now is when you want to check for any sort of potential leaks around your cooling system. If your belt or anything was off, it would have popped off immediately and given you multiple issues right away. No leaks there. Careful, because the pulley goes underneath there, but I'm running my finger around the backside on this to make sure there's no leaks. And there are none. We are good to go. Jeep seems to be happy.